What a start to 2026. It seems like it's bad news everywhere you turn. Despair for local investors in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. In 2025, the main TT composite index dropped by close to 12%, and the All Trinidad and Tobago index declined by over 13%. Maybe that's why you all haven't heard from Third Bara, because he's losing money left, right, and center. Let's get into it. Hi, folks. Welcome back to my channel, The Third Bara, where we talk about financial independence by investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. It's been a while. Well, not too long because it's been a couple months since my rant about the tenant tax. Yeah, about 2 months ago. But it's been a while. I know. I've been very busy and I haven't been hiding. I have so many videos that I want to do, but it's just time. Time is the factor. But hey, how you guys doing? I hope 2026 is treating you well. 2025 ended very crazy, and I see 2026 is getting even crazier. But folks, keep your eye on the ball. Do not get distracted. Mind your business. That's all I ask, because there are so many distractions out there. So many people trying to tell you what to do with your money. So many people trying to siphon away your money, including the government. And we're going to talk about that. But over the last year, since my channel has been out, I gained a large number of new subscribers. And a lot of them came on board when I sort of stopped posting. So allow me to reintroduce myself. Hi, this is the Third Bara. I want to focus on Trinidad and Tobago investors, either local or in the diaspora, investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market, not the American stock market. I don't want to hear anything about the S&P 500. If you're looking for that sort of content, you're in the wrong place. In this house, we talk about real estate in Trinidad. We talk about investing in companies like Neil and Massey, companies like Grace Kennedy, companies like First Citizens Bank. And I know what you're thinking. Why would I waste my time and my money investing in Trinidad and Tobago? Everything is going down into the dumps. Even the stock market that you're putting your money in is sliding lower and lower. But is that really the case? Are investors really in despair? Because I'm an investor and I'm not even the least bit perturbed. And I can explain why. As the market goes down, that's an opportunity for me to get quality companies at a lower price. When Fed tickets drop from 300 to 200, do you see anyone crying? People say, yay! All inclusive Fed tickets drop, and they all go and buy. If you see that Mercedes Benz drop by a couple thousand, do you cry? No. However, why is it when you see the stock market prices drop, is that a bad thing? Is it really? It may be a bad thing if you're planning to cash out. You plan to sell all your stocks today and you bought them 10 years ago and now it's at a lower price. Maybe that's a reason to cry. But over here, we don't plan on selling our stocks because we intend to deploy our money to get the dividends. And that is going to carry us forward. We ain't selling our assets. We're just going to deploy our money and we're going to sit back and get those nice, juicy dividends. That's what we're about over here. So for my new subscribers, I urge you, go to my channel, click on videos, click on the oldest, which was about 11 months ago, almost a year ago, and in chronological order, watch all my videos because I don't intend to repeat things I've discussed before in the past. This is the only channel that will discuss local financial issues about investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. And additionally, not only do I talk about it, I show you my own portfolio. So I don't act like I am some sort of financial guru telling you what's the next big stock. All I'm doing on this channel is telling you guys what I'm doing with my money. It's up to you to decide if that's the right thing or the wrong thing, or we can discuss. But I'm showing you my receipts. In those other channels, they try to tell you what to invest in and what to do and how to interpret financial statements and all this theoretical stuff. That's fine. Show me your money. Show me how you deploy your money. They never do. So, this is the intent of my channel. Join me. You have a front row seat. And as I said, I'm just like you, deploying my money with the hope of getting financial independence sometime in the near future. And we'll go as the news come out, we will discuss, and you can enjoy the ride. But you're not going to get that anywhere else. I've looked, trust me. So, I hope you enjoy the ride. So, as promised in my last video, I'm going to give you an overview of the changes that I've done with my portfolio. Currently, as you can see, my portfolio stands at a value of $486,030. I have a net positive capital gain of 13,969, and the estimated dividend per year for this year at least is currently 20,741. So if all goes to plan, the dividends I'll be receiving this year is 20,741. So you can also see that the total holdings, the total number of holdings I have is now 7, which has reduced from the last time I showed you guys my portfolio. And there's a reason for this. If you look at the graph, as you can see, the red is my portfolio and the gray line is the Trinidad and Tobago market, the TTSC index, and the composite index, I meant. Sorry. And you can see that this is year to date. This is within the last year. So let's look at the last year. So as we pass through July and coming down into September, October, you can see the market really started to tank. And I looked at my portfolio and I realized that there are some winners and there are some losers. And at some point in time, I had to get rid of the dead weight. That was one factor. I needed to get rid of the dead weight because there was some dead weight in my portfolio that was just dragging down the overall index, as you can see. So come October, I decided that enough is enough. There were some stocks which I had no interest in holding. I could have kept it, but there was another factor that that led me to do some restructuring in my portfolio. If you all remembered, in my early days last year, let me see if I can find that video. Where's that upload? Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. All this, okay. Ah, yes. Easy money. How to earn US dollars passively in Trinidad. I spoke about the 4 companies on the cross listed index, and I spoke that for Trinidad and Tobago investors, you can use your TT dollars. You can buy shares in these companies, and their dividends will be issued to you in US dollar checks. And in the current economic environment, having US dollars is as good as gold because it's scarce. And trust me, regardless of what you see on the TV, it is not going to get better anytime soon. So you need to secure a stream of US dollars for you to keep for when those hard banger season days come. And it's coming, and we're probably starting there right now. So, at the time of this video, you would have seen that I had 2 companies on my from the cross listed index in my portfolio. Those 2 companies are Grace Kennedy from Jamaica and First Caribbean Bank, CIBC, from Barbados. So those 2 companies were actually the core of my portfolio. And if you looked at, where is that video I spoke about Trinidadian sleeping? Let me see. Let me see. Where is that video? Ah, yes. Oh, it's right here. This video I spoke about Trinidadians are sleeping on these 3 TTSC stocks. Grace Kennedy was one, First Caribbean Bank was the other one, and Neil and Massey was the third one. So, in those days, I was getting 2 streams of US dollars, one from Grace Kennedy and one from CIBC. Then, suddenly, out of nowhere, First Caribbean Bank sprung a surprise on me. And I'll clip it and show you guys. They stated that they were now going to, instead of issue checks, physical checks in the mail for you to cash, they were going to do direct bank transfers. Which, when I read it, I celebrated. I said, yes, that's what I want to have. Because currently, and I don't know why, when you deposit a US dollar check in First Citizens Bank, it takes 30 business days to clear. 30. It is real crazy out here in Trinidad right now. But it takes 30 business days. So let's say the end of January, I deposit a check. I can actually use that cash at the end of February. But that's okay. For me, at this point in time, securing a stream of US dollar into my account is the important thing. So the issue was that First Citizens Bank wanted to deposit directly, electronically, dividends to their shareholders' accounts, and they were no longer going to issue physical checks. But they also stated that for some reason, again, Trinidad, they could not wire US dollars to Trinidad banks without incurring an additional cost. So, in effect, that would have been like a tax on your dividends. And they know that was not the ideal thing to do. So, I'm thinking, okay, if they are not going to give me any physical US checks and they can't or were unable to electronically wire those US dividends to my account because I have a US bank account in First Citizens. If they're not going to do that, then how am I going to get paid my dividends? They said, well, oh, for Trinidad investors, you will have no choice but to receive your dividends electronically direct to your bank account in TT dollars. And I went crazy. The red alert signs started flashing because now, one, half of my stream of US dollars were now going to be deposited as Trinidad and Tobago dollars. And that situation was unattainable for me. I could not uh, sit by and allow that to happen. So I had a decision to make. And what I did was cut the deadwood. And not only did I cut the deadwood, but I doubled and tripled down on my only source of US dollars now in my portfolio, which currently is Grace Kennedy. So if you look at my portfolio, it has now reduced to 7 holdings. And trust me, it's only 7 because I could not get rid, or thus far, I cannot get rid of LJW B shares, which is a total waste of time. But that's a story for another day. But I wish to get rid of this last almost $5,000 worth of shares. I want to get rid of it because it's wasting time there. That dollars, that 5,000 can be used elsewhere in my portfolio. So where my portfolio is going to head is going to be consolidated to these 6 stocks with half or almost half, let's say 40, between 40 and 50% of the portfolio being Grace Kennedy. The reason, not only because Grace Kennedy is a quality company, but I want to double and triple down on my only US dollar paying dividends. And that's the main drivers for my reshuffling of my portfolio. So what did I do? I sold Unilever. I sold Whitco. I sold NEL shares. And I also sold NFM shares. Based on my analysis, and I can bring up that detailed report for you now. Those were the worst performing stocks in my portfolio. Let's see. Unilever, and I'll tell you why that was the worst performing, although it doesn't look like that from the total return point of view, minus 1.65. But you can see here Whitco, minus 73% total return. NEL, minus 24% total return. And you can see LJW, which I still have, which I'm going to get rid of, is minus 41, which is the worst of them all because they don't even give me any dividends. All right. And NFM was minus 5.8%. So out of all these were my 3 worth, by 4, sorry. Well, it'll be 5 soon. Worst performing stocks. And they had to go. I had to go. In these times, you have to be ruthless. And they just had to go. Yes, my overall philosophy is to buy and hold forever, but your portfolio must also reflect your goals at that point in time. And at this point in time, attaining as much US dollars as possible in my portfolio via a quality company is of premier importance. So that's why I have invested so much of my portfolio into Grace Kennedy. And let me see. There should be a chart showing. Let me see if I can find it. Yes, this is it. Diversification by company. So, you go on the financial space in YouTube and you would see that they say diversification is the only free lunch. Not necessarily. Yes, having reduced my stocks, the number of stocks in my portfolio, concentrates my portfolio. So now the few stocks that I have, the overall impact to my portfolio will be bigger. So say, for example, if Grace Kennedy tanks, that's a huge, almost 40%. Almost 40% of my portfolio is in one company. That's a risk I'm willing to take because right now, Grace Kennedy is the only company currently that are paying uh, US dollar dividends to Trinidad and Tobago investors. So I wanted to dive a little deeper. I didn't understand, well, why is it all of a sudden these guys, let me see the cross listed index, these guys were not paying uh, US dollar checks anymore. And then I realized that these guys are now. So let me just take a step back. The entire Caribbean is in a US dollar crisis because we import so much things. And once you're buying internationally, you have to pay in US dollars. And the only way uh, Caribbean islands get US dollars is if they're selling things abroad to get US dollars. So in Trinidad and Tobago case, we have our oil and gas. For the other islands, it's mainly tourism to get that foreign exchange. So these companies now are starting to sort of, I should say, prioritize or better utilize, as they see it, how they issue US dollars and how they spend their personal reserve. So, because these companies, JMMB, NCB, and now First Citizens, CIBC, First Caribbean, sorry, Bank, since they now have local subsidiaries in Trinidad and Tobago, they are now able to sort of issue Trinidad and Tobago dollars to uh, Trinidad stock investors, Trinidad shareholders, and not having to go through the, I would say, effort of issuing US dollar checks. So, out of all these four companies, because NCB is in Trinidad via Guardian Holdings, because Guardian Holdings is a subsidiary of NCB. First Caribbean Bank is in Trinidad, and GMMB is in Trinidad. So I guess they made a decision. Well, why are we issuing Trinidad and Tobago shareholders US checks when we can just directly deposit in their bank account the money in Trinidad and Tobago dollars? Voila. We get to save and you better utilize our US dollars. And I think that's the rationale behind it. So it's only my friends here, Grace Kennedy. Let me see, my internet seems to be slow today. It's only my friends here, Grace Kennedy, seems to be issuing, let's see, corporate action, even though it's in the currency here shown in Jamaican. For that to be sent to Trinidad, it has to be in the form of US checks. So that's the bottom line. And that's what my portfolio looks like right now. So it was around this time in November that I decided to do my restructuring of my portfolio. I got rid of the deadwood. And That was around the same time. So what I did, I sold the deadwood, and the money that I got from selling those shares, I reinvested it back into Grace Kennedy. So just as I doubled down on Grace Kennedy, boom, Jamaica gets hit with a Category 5 hurricane. Life is funny like that sometimes. So I actually thought Jamaica would have been wiped out along with the portfolio that I invested into Grace Kennedy would have been wiped out. But natural disasters and disasters in general happens from time to time, but life goes on living. Jamaica is still there, Grace Kennedy is still there, and they are still issuing my US dollars on time every quarter. So I had nothing to worry about. So when you see in November where you saw the Trinidad and Tobago stock market still sort of tanking, you saw my portfolio sort of going in the opposite direction. And it's still holding strong as of today, January 14th. So my portfolio for the year, now remember, this is a year comparison from where it started here at the start from January 4th, 2025 to January 14, 2025 to January 14. Now, if you compare where it is now, my portfolio is just down minus 3.8%. But the TT stock market is down uh, minus 10.6%. If you look at the Trinidad Tobago stock market website and you look at the composite index, which is a reflection of all the companies on the TTSC, you can see that from, let's say, 2022 to now, the stock market has been in a full decline. So don't let things get political. Don't start to say, well, whose fault it is. I can tell you whose fault it is and what was the cause. We had a tremendous bull run in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market between 2010 and, let's say, just before COVID. A tremendous bull run. And the reason for that was that we had peaking gas production. Our economy is tied to the hip to gas production. So we had all this money going into the system, and we had a lot of financial and economic activity boosting our stock market. And then COVID hit, and then our gas production issues starting, and we sort of rebounded after COVID. But however, now that we are really feeling the brunt of the lack of new gas resources, plants in Point Lisas are um, uh, closing down and they are firing people, and overall economic activity is slowing down. You can see it now, it's being reflected in the prices of the overall stocks of the Trinidad stock market. So it has been declining steeply since 2022. So that's 4 years of straight decline. Look at that. Straight decline. But you need to keep in mind, yes, if you invested here at the peak, your portfolio will be deep. You'll be showing a deep negative uh, capital gain. Sorry, this is not capital gain. This is total returns. Let me go to the, where do I want to go? Let me go to the details. Because if you looked at, let me click back to my channel. I spoke about understanding stock market indices. I also spoke about what makes up the return. The return on your investment has two components. It's the capital appreciation, that's the stock value, the value of the stock, we call it capital gains, and the dividends. Those two things together make up your total return. Let me repeat that for all the newcomers to my channel. When you invest in stocks, your return on your investment has two components. It's the capital appreciation. That means the value of your stock goes up. So if you sell it at a higher price, you get two. If you sell it at a higher price than you bought it, implicitly you know that you make a profit. So that's the capital gains. However, you also get paid, and you get paid very well for just holding a stock. And this is a part people don't understand. You get paid very well in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market just for holding a stock. Look at the dividends I have gotten since I've been holding these stocks. Let me sort of zoom out. Look at the dividends I've gotten since I've been holding stocks. I've gotten 47,000 47,000 sent to my bank account. I didn't lift a finger. I didn't have to get up in the morning and go work for it. It was just sent to my account because I owned a share of these companies. 47,000 since I've been investing in the Trinidad and Tobago stock market. I've gotten $47,000. Well, exactly $47,660 in dividends. So, long-term investors know markets go up, markets go down. So, unless you're going to sell your share, don't be too perturbed by your capital gains going down. Look, my capital gains are now minus 30. So, if I sell all my shares now, I'll be getting less money than what I paid for them. But what balances off my returns is the fact that by holding these, I'm getting money. So I don't need to see this loss at all. I just need to keep it, and I'll just continue getting this money in dividends. And that's why I tell people the Trinidad and Tobago stock market is a golden opportunity to get dividends for nothing. No tax on dividends. Kamala does not, sorry, I should not say Kamala. Our Prime Minister, the government of Trinidad and Tobago, does not tax dividends. And this is what no one seems to understand. So when they come and they say, well, it's despair for local investors, that is not true. What we see here, the index that we see from the website, this index is a price-based index. It does not include the dividends that a shareholder will be receiving during this time. All this is a reflection of is the market price. It does not it does not include the dividends that are being issued to shareholders. This is just a reflection of the share price. So even though the market itself is going down, companies are still making billions in profits every year. And they're part of those millions and billions they are giving to their shareholders. And the best way I can show you guys, because I experienced this myself. Let's go to when I had Unilever. Let me see if it's still in this. Yes, Unilever. When I purchased Unilever, see the price, I purchased it for $26 a share. I purchased 750 shares. And then the price tanked. Let me see if I can get Unilever. Let me see if I can do this in real time. I don't know why my internet is this slow. Okay, so Unilever Caribbean Limited. Let's see the chart. Let's see all. Ah, yes. So I purchased in When did I purchase? Let me see. Go back to my portfolio. 2019. So I purchased Unilever stocks in 2019. So let me go to 2019, which is about here. This area here on the chart. So you can see the price I paid versus where it is now, it dropped. So you would think that because of this drop, I am losing money. I lost the money. I didn't get anything. But if you look at what I experienced during that period of time between 2019 and 2025, what's this? I consistently got dividends. Consistently. So even though the share price was dropping, I still got dividends coming to my bank account. So much so that it come up to, for that period of time, it came up to 8,900 in dividends. And when I sold, because of the drop in the price, the value I sold it for, I end up losing 10,275. Sorry, not 10,000, sorry. I end up losing 9,225. So, from a price perspective, I lost. But from a dividends perspective, I gained. So, collectively, the total return, the total loss I actually got for that period of time was just $322.50. That was all I lost. And perhaps if I had held on to Unilever for maybe a couple years more, the dividends I got would have surpassed the capital gains that I lost. So I might have still ended up with a net positive return. And this is what the general public does not understand. You get paid for just holding a stock. Do not believe the hype. Do not look at a chart going down and scream and say, oh, I'm going to lose my money. The chart just shows the price of the stock. It has no relationship to the overall return. Over the last 40 years, 40, so this was since the 1980s to now. And that's the sort of time frame you need to look at. The Trinidad and Tobago Stock Index, if you include not only the price appreciation, but the dividends, it returned annually between 10 and 13% to shareholders for that period of time. Let me repeat that. Even though you see the graph, let me go back to the indices. Let me go back. Let's do all Trinidad index. Then we go to the composite index. Let me zoom out a bit. All right. So I go to all. Oh, I can't even get to, I can't even go back to the 80s. But with all this price fluctuations of the composite index, if you held stocks from 40 years ago to now, you would have been benefiting from a return of between 10 and 13%, regardless of what they're saying right now in the papers about investors are in despair. That's just hype. That's false narrative. The moral of this story is don't expect the papers to tell you about people getting their millions off the stock market. They will always tell you bad news. But you can see from my own portfolio. Let me go back to the dashboard. Do I look like I'm in despair? I'm holding my stock, so I don't really care too much about the capital gains or the capital losses that I'm experiencing. So far, my total return are 13,969 if you include capital gains in the mix, in the losses, or in this case, it will be capital losses. But forget about this. My main concern is because I'm holding these stocks for a very long time, and I'm going to get $20,000 this year. How hard do you have to work to get 20,000? Let me know in the comments. So, folks, I think I went longer than I intended to. It was great to touch base with you this year, and don't worry, I will be uploading more in the very near future. It's just that life is lifing and I'm busy doing other activities. But the main takeaways here: don't let headlines scare you away. The Trinidad and Tobago stock market is the number one method for you to generate passive income to secure your financial future for you and your family. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. And if you're not on your in the stock market, if you're not currently a shareholder, I urge you, look at my portfolio. You can buy any one of these stocks. Just spend a couple thousand on one of them. And you will see most of these stocks here, they give you dividends quarterly. Hold it for 3 months and tell me how you feel this year when 3 months from now you get a dividend check from Neil Massey or a dividend check from First Citizens. Tell me how you feel. Tell me how you feel that you did not have to wake up early in the morning, fight through traffic, and fight and avoid getting traffic tickets, go to work, and spend time with people you don't like. You didn't have to do any of that in order to get that dividend check in your bank account. This year, if you're watching my channel and you haven't purchased at least one share, this is the year to change it. So, folks, thanks a lot for joining me. Hopefully, we will be seeing better stock market returns for this year, but don't worry. Right now, even though the stock market is dropping, consider it as a discount. You're going to get more bang for your buck. You're going to get more shares for your money, your hard earned money. So, till next time, like and subscribe. Share this with your friends and family. I'll see you guys later.